Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to this Friday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to get to care. We got a big show lined up today. Second portion of the show, I got distracted. I was looking at a text, folks. I'm sorry. Second portion of the show, we're going to be joined by Chris Harry, FloridaGators.com. Since we are not playing a football game, we are going to be joined and we're going to talk Gator hoops since they kicked off practice a few days ago. But it's Friday. We're going to get to our Peachland Dental JC and the QB picks here shortly, but we're going to be welcomed by JC here on the Titan MR hotline. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Getting ready for a big day out here at Hale Plantation with the Stop Children's Cancer charity event. The golf carts are rolling out right now, and I'll be in the 1 o'clock session, so a lot to look forward to, but we've got a lot to talk about this morning. And, you know, it's a shame that we're not going to have a football game here tomorrow, but obviously player safety and coaches safety comes first, and they've got to clear this up, and they will make up the game with LSU on December 12th. I'm sure you've already stated that, right, QB? Yeah,
December 12th, and then I don't think we're going to play Missouri until the week before Georgia, personally.
Right. Missouri and Vanderbilt not playing as well. Another game that's been.
So it's my thoughts about the COVID situation. I mean, everybody, it's getting hit. Everybody. I mean, the NFL's done a good job juggling games and stuff. Sometimes I sit back and I think, JC, Florida did such a tremendous job whenever all kids were sent home in March till they came back end of July. They did such a tremendous job staying negative in all the testing. Whereas you remember back in the summer where I think it was LSU, Clemson,
22 players,
30-something players, everybody's making a big deal. Well, here's the deal. We still don't know if it's true or not, but we think it is. Those teams aren't having any issues now because supposedly if you get it once, you can't get it again. We don't know all the data, but it's almost like we did such a good job back then. You almost wish the kids would have been tested positive in the summertime instead of now.
Well, obviously, because they're not playing, of course, and I was hoping that the contact tracing would get to the point where we really get some more information. But Danny Cannell had a tweet, the old Florida State quarterback. He had a tweet that I think brings some perspective into the sky is falling motif that we are hearing right now from many of those who have criticized the fact that we're even bothering to play football. And 143 games. This is what he tweets. He says 143 games have been played. There have been 0 hospitalizations, which goes to the point that young people are not at serious risk here in terms of mortality or sickness or any of that. 143 games have been played, 0 hospitalizations or even any major issues with the players and coaches who have tested positive. So that, to me, says that we've had tremendous success in spite of the fact that a couple of these games have had to be rescheduled. So 0 hospitalizations, 143 games. So that should bring you some perspective of what it is we're dealing with when it comes to young people and even some of these coaches. Here's Nick Saban, QB. He's 69 years old. He has tested positive. He is asymptomatic. That means he is not showing any outwardly signs or inward signs, really, of the effects of this disease. And he is going to do his best to try to participate in Saturday night's game remotely.
Well,
if he was feeling, I know, but he was going to try to do what he could to affect this game remotely. Now, he won't be able to call in like what you're saying, but he's still going to be involved today, and he was yesterday as well in getting the team ready. So I guess that's what I meant. But the point is that we have a guy who is 69 years old, who is asymptomatic. He is not in the hospital thankfully. Now, many people do go to the hospital. That's true. But in this college football world that we talk about, with all of those games having been played, with all of the practices and all of the meetings and everything that's happened, 0 hospitalizations. Zip.
Yeah. It's like you said, it affects people different ways. I do know that the people that
does.
I do know have had it's more been like a head cold for 10 to 12 hours, and they're fine. But you still have to stay isolated.
Sure.
Speaking of Coach Saban, because I was driving around doing some stuff and on TV, some of these people are, why can't, he be there at home with technology today? You just can't. That's the rules that the SEC has, college football has. If he is not in the stadium, what I don't understand is, JC.
Yeah.
And it still wouldn't surprise me if this doesn't happen. But kickoff is 7:00 Central Time for this game, correct?
That's right.
Why he couldn't drive himself to Bryant-Denny Stadium, pull into his parking spot at 4:00. Okay, ain't nobody around the stadium at 4:00.
No.
Get out with his briefcase.
There's no tailgating at all on campus.
Walk straight to the elevator. Go up to suite number 22.
Yeah.
Lock myself in there.
Yeah.
And have a headset. I don't know why you can't do that, but I guess with him having to quarantine himself and all that. But if nobody's around, I don't see why he couldn't do that.
Right. He's still quarantined. If he's in his car on his own, walks into the elevator on his own, goes into an office by himself, he's still quarantined. They can put stuff in the room. They can get a headset ready. And, there he is. Now, I agree with you there. Here's a better question for you, too. If he's not going to be at the game and he is still the head coach, and let's just assume, for the sake of assumption, hypothetically, Georgia wins. Kirby Smart is the Georgia coach. First assistant coach, would it be Kirby Smart gets the first win as an assistant coach against Nick Saban, or does it count, or does it not count because he's not at the game? What do you say about that one?
I mean, it's
Nick's 21-0. 21.
Just do this.
21-0.
It's just put an asterisk beside it, like we're doing it with everything else, right?
Okay. Well, I don't think the team that wins the national title this year wants an asterisk.
No, trust me. I said back before the season started, whoever wins it this year, holy cow, the crap these kids have to go through and these coaches, it's unbelievable.
They should get 2 crowns. But here's the thing, QB. What is the answer to the question? Does Kirby get the first win over Nick Saban as an assistant, or does it not count? Because he's not at the game.
Well, here's the thing, JC. The only people that care about that are media people that have nothing else to write about.
Well,
if I'm a Georgia fan, if we beat Alabama, we beat Alabama. I don't give a damn who's coaching. They beat Alabama.
But they make a big deal out of the fact that Saban is 21-0 against his former assistants. I mean, that's a stat.
Well, the reason they make a big deal about it is because nobody's beating him, and I don't know if anybody will, because
then it will be a big deal if he wins.
It's hard to beat the team that has the best players in the country every year, JC. It's that simple.
Well,
they still can't play defense.
Well, look, we'll see. They'll play better defense, as we've already talked about. We'll pick this game here momentarily, but I think you're right because of the way Georgia handles offense and the way they do things. It'll be I think you'll see fewer points in this game for sure, obviously, than what we saw in that intramural game last week.
Yeah, so speaking of last night, there was another track meet. Georgia State and Arkansas State, 59-52. You can't play defense anymore. Tonight, there's some really good games in college football. We still got baseball going on.
How about that?
Braves go up 3-1 over the Dodgers. The Astros have won 2 in a row, 3-2 now in that series. I love how they don't have any days off. They just play back to back. That's the great thing about it.
Well, that's right. You got to hand it to Bryce Wilson of the Braves last night. He really set up that big inning they had that chased Kershaw. I think it was the 6th inning last night for Atlanta. 6 innings pitched, 1 hit in his playoff debut, 5 strikeouts. And then Ozuna, that allowed Ozuna to take off and get 2 home runs, go 4 for 5, and have 4 RBIs. So the Braves, who have not been to the World Series, QB, since 1999, it's been that long, are 9 innings away from getting to their first World Series. They had 11,000 fans at the old Texas Rangers ballpark last night. The new ballpark with the retractable roof is right next door, and they'll play the World Series in that building. And Tampa Bay is out in San Diego, and they've got to get business done, because if you give Houston one more win and it goes 3-3, then it looks like they may have to face Greinke. So I don't know if that's the case on the rotation for Houston, but don't let the Astros get to a point where they are one game away from winning it, because typically they do when they are.
We got a Facebook Live comment here brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. Nat says Kirby Smart still has to beat Sark's offense. Saban didn't run that offense. Good point.
Okay. I see that. I like that. And I would say if Nick Saban's not in the building, then you didn't beat him. Now, he spent most of the week preparing the Alabama team until he had to leave. Well, actually, it may not have been most of the week. But I would say the answer is no to the question I asked. But I like that contribution we just had there on Facebook Live.
We got a text here on the Titan Tomorrow text line. It comes from Daryl. He says, Shane, did you watch Cooper Manning's son Arch last night? And he thinks South Carolina beats Auburn tomorrow.
Okay.
I did watch Arch last night. You know, he's a 6'3", 195-pound sophomore there at Newman High School in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Guy has a great delivery. He's going to be better than both of his uncles. I can tell you that right now. Now, they're not playing great competition.
He's going to be better than both his uncles.
Well, talent-wise, he is. He is. And okay. I see him either being a quarterback at LSU or Alabama. My picks. But we still have 3 years away. That's what I'm picking.
All right. No chance to go to Mississippi where Lane Kiffin's there?
He doesn't fit. He's a big – 6'3", 195 is a 10th grader. And he's a drop-back passer. I just don't see him fitting into what Ole Miss does.
Okay. I mean, Jay McCarron wasn't – well, no, that was Jim McElwain. Yeah, okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, so he's got a great release, man. His release is way better than his uncle's. Not even close. So we'll see. But he's a talented kid. JC, I got another tidbit here for you. This is going to blow your mind. We said last year that Joe Burrow had the greatest season of a college quarterback. Yes or no?
No, absolutely, no question about it.
So this is through 3 games. Okay.
Yeah.
And Joe Burrow's first 3 games last year were Northwestern State, Georgia Southern, and Texas.
Texas, yes.
Okay. These 4 quarterbacks that I'm getting ready to mention all play in the SEC.
Okay.
And have played nobody but SEC talent. Okay.
Oh.
Do you realize through 3 games that Mac Jones, the Alabama quarterback,
yes, Mac Jones,
is 21 yards behind what Joe Burrow did last year?
Wow.
And 3 touchdowns. And his passer rating is just as high.
No,
Miles Brennan, the kid that took over for Joe Burrow, is only 10 yards behind what Joe Burrow did last year.
Wow.
And has thrown the same amount of touchdowns.
Okay.
Matt Corral is only about 40 yards behind him. He's thrown 2 less touchdowns. Trask is in there. He's a couple 100 yards behind. He's thrown a couple more touchdowns. But my point is, it's crazy. These 4 guys are all playing SEC competition and are on the same pace as Joe Burrow's season.
Right. And you could also make the argument that Joe Burrow had some of the best wide receivers ever to play in college football.
Well,
Mac Jones
say Alabama has just as good.
I'm not. I wasn't finished yet. And that's why there may be so much similarity, although you could also make the argument that Mac has played better teams. Look, Mac Jones is a kid that came out of Jacksonville Bowls, very lowly regarded. He wasn't a 4 or 5 star even. He was a 3 or a 2. He came out of a small private school in Jacksonville, and he sat for 3 years and just learned how to play that position and had some great coordinators with him. And now he is bearing the fruits of his patience and labor. And Sarkisian is a perfect coach, I think, to help Mac Jones get to the next level. And if he keeps playing like this, he'll be a first rounder.
Yeah, he will. I mean, it's his story.
He can throw the ball. He can throw the football.
He's a very good. Yeah, we'll talk. I'm going to have a guy from Pro Football Focus on next week talk about a lot of the Gators, their how they have them rated and some of the other quarterbacks around the league.
I hate that they're not playing Saturday. I wish we could have gotten the information on some of that. I mean, I don't know. Did we hear anything about the contact tracing of where all this happened or how it originated?
Well, they think it has something to do with just traveling and staying in a hotel.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy how this virus spreads, and you don't really know where you're going to get it. You know.
Oh, it's exponential, and that's exactly right. But then some people who get it don't know they have it because of their asymptomatic nature, and there's been nothing like it with the 2-week incubation period or 5. Yeah, it's just crazy that something like this is just unleashed on the world like it has been, and I think people have done a great job of trying to get around as many obstacles as possible to be able to keep some sort of normalcy, because the last thing I think we need and the last thing that can happen in this country is another lockdown.
Yeah. Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Yeah, I mean, it stinks we're not playing this week. I don't think we play next week either. I don't think we play Missouri until the week before the Georgia game is my guess.
That's just a guess, though. I mean, you're just making a hunch, obviously.
Well, you got to think about it, JC. With the CDC guidelines or whatever, you have to quarantine for 10 to 14 days. It is. I don't really know all the rules, but doesn't that sound about right?
It does.
Okay, so if today is Friday, Wednesday they still had guys that tested positive. Think about it. I mean, you got to wait 10 or 14 days.
Yeah, I mean, contact tracing is important. You can test positive Wednesday, but you could have been positive on Sunday before. So I who knows? Is it 10 days? Is it 7? Is it 6? There's just so much uncertainty. And if Florida has to cancel, then Florida has to cancel. It will really disrupt the flow that the team's been in. And I don't know. I mean, you have questions then if you only end up playing 8 games and Georgia plays 10 games. You know, we have to deal with all those hypotheticals.
Well, they still can play. They still can play all their games. They won't have their bye. They won't have a bye week before the Georgia game.
Well, if they cancel the Missouri game, then that means
I didn't say they cancel the Missouri game.
I'm saying if they cancel the Missouri game, let's say, like you said, they don't play next week, that would be 2 games they missed. They only have 1 week to make it up.
They will move the Missouri game to the week before the Georgia game. Missouri has the same exact bye.
The week before the Georgia game. I thought you said the week before the SEC game. Okay. Well,
no, we're playing LSU the week before the SEC championship.
That's right,
game.
the 12th. That's right. So, and for some reason, my brain said, that's the only time you have to make up a game. So there is another. That's right, the open date. I got you. Okay.
Yep. Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from WrapSpot. October is your lucky month at WrapSpot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking of JC here, we're going to get to our Peachland Dentistry picks here in just a second. Anything else before we get going in the picks, JC?
I'm just really hoping the Rays can win, and I think the Braves are going to win, and you'll have 2 small markets playing in the World Series over in Texas, and it'll give us some local appeal because there are many Atlanta Brave fans here in this area, and there are many Tampa Bay Rays fans. And the Rays fans seem to pop out of the woodworks when they beat the Yankees or the Red Sox. So here they are. Man, they're 1 game away. They've had 2 chances to close it out. And I'm telling you, this game 6 is the game, because if Houston takes this game 6, even without Verlander having been in the rotation now, Houston is dangerous and they can hit the ball. I hope Tampa's pitching wins out. So I'm really hoping for a Tampa-Atlanta matchup. And that would be just tremendous because that would give Tampa a shot to win a World Series on top of a Stanley Cup. And I think that would be really cool. So we'll see if it happens. Yeah, that'd be really
unbelievable. So let's go ahead and get to our Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. It's time now for the Peachland Dentistry, JC and the QB picks. Where are our standings real quick before we get started?
So let's go. This is week 3 for us in our glorious picks and Peachland Dentistry picks, and QB is a spectacular 13-7, and I am 500 at 10-10. So you have a full 3-game lead on me, and you've done very well picking. So because of that, and because you lead, you get to go first. And game 1 is Pittsburgh with 2 straight losses coming down to play the Miami Hurricanes. We're going to find out what Miami is really made of, because in the past when Miami would get blown out, they would carry that over to the following week. They are laying 14 points at home to the Pitt Panthers. What do you say in that one?
Well, is Pitt's quarterback out?
I'm trying to find that out.
Well,
I think he might be, because they're down. They're getting 14.
Yeah, so there has to be. You know what?
Points.
I think Pitt's gonna. I'm not sold on Miami at all. I'll take the Pitt Panthers.
Yeah,
Even with the backup quarterback.
Yeah, me too. Because 2 touchdowns. I don't know if Miami's good enough to beat Pitt by 2 touchdowns. Although Pitt is struggling right now. Let's go to game 2, and this is a good one. Central Florida. A lot of points going to be in this game. Central Florida, the Golden Knights. Charge on, charge on. They will face the Memphis Tigers at Memphis, and they are giving Memphis 3 points.
Yeah,
think about that.
This is a toss-up. I'm gonna.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know who I'm gonna take. I'm gonna go ahead and take UCF. I think Memphis is probably gonna win the game though, but I'm taking UCF for some reason.
I understand why you're taking UCF. They've beaten Memphis in the past more than they've lost, but I like the points at home with that team. At home, playing in the Liberty Bowl. Give me those Tigers getting 3 points. Carolina, the northern version, is playing Florida State with a new quarterback who covered and played well against Notre Dame, I guess, if you consider all things. North Carolina coming in with an unbeaten record, playing Florida State, laying 13 points in Tallahassee. Mac Brown, baby.
That's
Daddy
a lot
Mac.
of points. That's
Daddy
a lot
Mac.
of points.
Daddy Mac. Yeah.
Florida State played a little better last week against Notre Dame, but
They did. They covered as well.
I don't know. I'm going with the better quarterback. I'm going with Sam Howell and the Tar Heels.
That's a lot of points, QB. Wow, you're laying a lot of points. But I can't blame you for that. Florida State is just an absolute mess. I don't like Florida State. I think they're a year or two, maybe 2-3 years away. We go to the SEC, QB, and let's get it started. We've got 2 games canceled this week, of course, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Florida, and LSU. Not playing. I shouldn't say they're canceled. They're postponed because they're hoping to play again. Texas A&M is riding high off their big win over the Florida Gators late in that game, kicking a field goal to take it. They play the struggling Mississippi State Bulldogs. But what I find interesting in this game is that Texas A&M is only giving 5 points. So somebody thinks out there that Mississippi State in this week that they've had to prepare has probably figured out a way to get that offense off the doormat and try to score some points. If they don't score some points, they're getting blown out. So why is it only 5 points, QB?
Well, they're at home, and Mississippi State has a second-ranked defense in the league. They've played really good defense, actually.
They do.
I think A&M wins this game. I think they win it by a touchdown, maybe 10 points. I think it's going to be closer than people think. We're going to see if Mike Leach has made any tweaks to his offense. But A&M has a very good chance of making the 14 playoff. The tough part of their schedule is pretty much over with. And so it would not shock me if the A&M goes 9-1.
A&M? Well, so you're taking A&M, obviously. So
Yeah.
I agree. I want to be on that Mississippi State bandwagon with him ringing that bell, but man, it's just come apart there. And I give you, the defense has done great. They've done really well, and they are considerably better than last year. Much more physical, better up front. A&M, Kellen Mond, Mississippi State's had their number in years past, but this is Texas A&M's momentum right now that's carrying them through, and I think 5's just not enough. I think this game should have been at least 9 or 10. So I'll take Texas A&M with you.
Do you know how many yards Mississippi State gave up to Kentucky last week?
Yeah, less than 200, I think.
It was like 152 yards of total.
Yeah,
offense.
it was. And that's got to really frustrate you as a Bulldog fan to see your defense after what happened last year play so much better and not be able to generate any offense or score points, especially after that first game that they played in Baton Rouge. Mississippi is laying only 3 on the road to Arkansas. The upstart Razorbacks, who got completely royally screwed last week at Auburn, should have had a win there, should have won that game. The referees. Have you heard anything this week about any kind of?
They gave him an apology. An
apology. That's
Arkansas
great.
should have won the game. So that's
really great.
Apology
So, hey,
means absolutely nothing.
It's incredible, isn't it? I think the SEC should have taken stronger measures on that officiating crew. I hope they stick that team to all of the rest of the Vanderbilt games, that crew. Mississippi laying 3 to Arkansas.
I'm going to go with the Rebels. I think this is going to be a fun game. I'm anxious to see what Barry Odom, because he's done a tremendous job with their defense at Arkansas. If they can slow down. Arkansas is playing good defense, man. So
they are. And
it's going to be a shootout. I think Felipe is going to put up a bunch of big numbers. But I think Matt Corral's playing at an unbelievable level right now. He'll make some plays, and I think Ole Miss covers. So
you see a shootout. The total in that game is 77. What would you do that?
Oh, well, I think Ole Miss is going to give up at least 35.
So 35, and then if you got them winning, then you would have the under then.
It's a shootout, dude, because even though Arkansas's played good defense, Arkansas runs the same exact offense as Ole Miss. It's that Kendall Browse, his son, is their coordinator, who worked with Lane Kiffin down at FAU. So it's basically going to be like an inter-squad game.
Tennessee is laying 6 at home to the Kentucky Wildcats. 6 points, really? A touchdown? Tennessee is laying a touchdown after a bad beating at Georgia. Kentucky gets their first win. Jeremy Pruitt is 2-0 against Mark Stoops. He hasn't lost to Mark Stoops yet. So maybe there's some value built into that line with the Jeremy Pruitt, Mark Stoops angle, but I don't think they have anything to do with it. I think this is going to be all about the players. I like the way Kentucky matches up physically with Tennessee up front. And although I think the Vols are going to win 7 games this year and go 7-3, I think I want the points in this game. So I'm going to take Kentucky with the 6 points. I see a 24-20 kind of game.
Well, I was hoping you would take Tennessee here because I know you're big. You're high on Tennessee.
I am, but 6 points, man.
I like Kentucky. The only thing that concerns me about Kentucky, they just haven't had great quarterback play with Terry Wilson. But I like Kentucky. I think they're the better football team. They should be 3-0 right now, but they're only 1-2. I think Kentucky wins the game.
Well, if they win, they'll be 2-2 with a game against Georgia, and so coming. So I don't know. I think I think Kentucky definitely covers this spread, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a 24-10 game either. But I think we'll look at 24-20. That's the kind of game I'm expecting, even though that's kind of low scoring in today's world. Maybe it should be 34-30. Something like that. South Carolina, you have stated flat out that they're going to win the game outright, and somehow Auburn is giving them 3 points. So I know you're going to take South Carolina in this one.
South Carolina's the better football team. They got the better quarterback. They got the better offense. Defenses are about the same. It's in Columbia. I think South Carolina wins this game, and I think they win by double digits.
Double digits, really? South Carolina wins by 10 or more points against the Auburn Tigers? And
Auburn is not very good. Gus is going to go down with the quarterback that he chose. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and I'm critical of quarterback play, but the average Joe that watches Auburn play cannot sit there and think that they're getting good play out of their quarterback.
Yeah, well, and it's amazing to me how Auburn just has so much magic behind some of their games, usually at home, right, like last week. But then they go on the road, and sometimes they just lay a real dump. So a big egg there. So I don't know, man. I'm rooting for South Carolina, of course. And so I'll take the Gameys with you. Gamecocks laying 3 seems like catching 3 seems like that's doable. I missed a game because I usually don't want to intermingle SEC games with one more game, but we wanted to do 10. So our 7th pick is Clemson laying 27 at Georgia Tech. You got a blowout here, or you think the cover?
Repeat that again.
Clemson's laying 27 points at Georgia Tech.
I thought you said 7. 27. This is blowout city. This is, the only issue is, JC, Trevor Lawrence may play one series in the third quarter, but this Georgia Tech is not a very good football team, and Clemson can name the score in this game.
All right,
give me the Tigers.
I will join you with the Clemson Tigers. Until somebody plays them close, why should I believe anybody is going to play them close in that league? We come to the game of the week in the Southeastern Conference. Thankfully, It's still being scheduled to play. Nick Saban hasn't spread the coronavirus to the rest of his team or whatever, but Georgia is catching 4.5 points. At Alabama, it's the CBS game on Saturday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central. Georgia, 4.5 against that offense. Can they win?
I think it's going to be a great game. I think Georgia has this as good a chance as they have of beating them, but I like Mac Jones and the weapons of offense.
You also like Stetson Bennett, too.
I love Stetson Bennett. I think he's a damn good player. I don't care if he's a walk-on or not. He can play the quarterback position. But I'm going to lean to the home team. I think Alabama's going to win a close one.
And I think Alabama's going to win a close one, too, but I see them winning by a field goal. So I'm going to take Georgia getting the 4.5, and I hope I lose.
You don't even trust your own team. Wow.
Well, look, this defense has got to show me something. You know, I was really hoping we'd see an improvement from last year, which was an injury-riddled bunch. But this defense has not – they don't tackle. I watch guys run by.
Nobody tackles other than Georgia and Clemson.
That's just not the way it has to be at Alabama. You have to tackle people.
Well, maybe you need to fire your coach. Go fire your coach like everybody else needs to be fired.
Well, Pete Golding is catching it right now, okay?
Well, Pete, last time I checked, there's a guy that has COVID that's in charge of that program and is a defensive guy and teaches them how to tackle too, okay?
Well, yeah, but it's his job to make it right. We'll see if he can. And that means whether or not they keep Pete Golding. There's been some talk that Charlie Strong is going to get more involved.
You want me to give you stats of Charlie Strong's last few defenses?
Well,
they ain't real good.
No, they're not.
Plus, he's an analyst. He can't do it. So there.
Well, if they promoted him, he could. Let's see.
I wouldn't think that'd be a good idea.
NFL Game of the Week, QB. This is tremendous. We have a 4-1 team playing an undefeated team. This is an AFC, I guess it would be considered AFC North, Pittsburgh or East. It's North. Pittsburgh and Cleveland. The Browns, everybody's new favorite team now, the Cleveland Browns, are playing the Steelers. Browns getting 3.5 with Baker. They say OBJ has been sick this week. Don't know what's wrong with him. But the Steelers are unbeaten. They're playing at home. Who do you got? Pittsburgh against Cleveland, a Midwestern classic right now. They get on the bus.
I'm going to take the Browns. I'm going with the Browns.
You're going to take the Browns. Okay. Yep. The Browns, I'm going to take the Steelers at home, baby. I love the way Roethlisberger's playing right now, and I think they are Super Bowl material in the AFC. They'll have to deal with Kansas City and Baltimore, but I like what I'm seeing out of their defense. I'll take the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cleveland is very good, much better than last year, but they're going to run into the Steelers and have problems, I think. So give me the Steelers. I win that game by 7 to 8 points, something like that, and they will beat the Cleveland Browns. So we have, to recap, Pittsburgh and Miami. We both took Pittsburgh. Central Florida, Memphis. You took Central Florida. I took Memphis. We both have Carolina over FSU. We both have A&M over Mississippi State. You took Mississippi. I took Arkansas. We both have South Carolina. We both have Kentucky over Tennessee. We both have Clemson over Tech. You took Alabama laying 4.5. I got Georgia plus the 4.5, although I want Alabama to win by 14. And the NFL Game of the Week, you took the Browns. I took the Steelers. So I can make up some room, make up some space, and try to catch you on the overall after this weekend there, QB.
All right, that's the Peachland Dentistry, JC and the QB weekend picks. JC, we got to get to a break and get our man Chris Harry. Have a good weekend, my man.
All right. You bet. We'll talk to you Monday.
At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida. Understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Center State Bank, member FDIC. Going to take a quick time out. We'll come back. We'll be joined by FloridaGators.com senior writer Chris Harry talking Gator hoops.
Hey, Gator Nation, this is your former head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. Check out our show, Inside the Huddle with Shane Matthews and Steve Russell, every Tuesday during football season on 8:50 a.m. and 98.1 FM WRUF at 10 o'clock a.m.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Area Rug Masters, your number one choice in Gainesville for all your rug cleaning services.
Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance, Pomodoro Cafe,
Big Mills Cheesesteaks,
MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Aver and Smith Personal Injury Attorneys, Orange Theory Fitness, PRP Regeneration Specialist, and Dowling Signs.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to this Friday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point's where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike, Medici's, Regal Cinemas, and coming spring of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators come to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're going to be joined by a guy that's probably going to be hanging out at the bar at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Chris Harry, good morning. How are you?
What are you saying about me, Shane? What are you saying?
I'm just saying you're going to be hanging out at the bar. You're probably going to talk coach into giving you a tab, you know, for you media guys.
I hope I'm at the soft opening whenever that is.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Chris, so we appreciate you taking time. You kind of filled in. I was supposed to have Josh Booty, former LSU quarterback, talking LSU Tigers, but no reason to talk it. We're not playing a game. So basketball has started here on campus. Give us a little rundown what's going on with the basketball team.
Well, the first official practice as allotted by the NCAA in terms of the 20-hour rules that you're allowed. Point like the Gators had a couple 2-hour practices the last couple weeks. I mean, they've been out there practicing as a team, and you know they've had their challenges with keeping guys healthy. There's been some quarantine issues, just like for every other sport. But it's going to be a different kind of look with this team. I think Coach White and his staff have done a good job of trying to motivate this team from a very, it's just it didn't last so much expectations to be so up and down as it were. I think a lot of people would probably say that that they didn't play, they didn't do as well as a lot of people obviously thought, starting sixth in the country, which was obviously too high at the time. But they're going to be different this year in that they're smaller. They're going to try to run and press. You're going to see a 94-foot game. I've seen that at practice. It's kind of like the way he played more at Louisiana Tech. I think his personnel is more suited to that versus last year. So that's the plan right now. What's funny is you don't even know really the season's supposed to start November 25th. So like any other sport right now, you think that's when it's going to start. But the same thing, they don't even have an SEC schedule yet. So they don't even, it's supposed to see the SEC season is supposed to start the 29th. I'll tell you a couple other things. The second game of the year is probably going to be against the defending national champions at a neutral site, Virginia. So you're talking about right now, the schedule still has Oklahoma, still has UConn, still has Florida State on it. And these are games right in a row at one point. So you're talking about a pretty heavy duty slate of games right out of the box, assuming they even play those games.
You had me confused there for a minute. You go to the defending national champs, Virginia. I'm going, wait a minute.
Yeah, they are.
They won it a couple of years ago, but they still are. They still are the defending national champs. So you talked about this team being smaller, Chris, and I think when Mike White was hired from La Tech, they were a run and gun, get up and down tempo type team. Gator fans have been wanting that. Do you see this team doing it, getting up and down the field? And give me a date or however many games after like game 5, Gator fans are going to be saying, man, we need to start playing some defense. Same way with football, we need offense. We need offense.
One game. 20-minute half. Yeah. I'm just saying, if you commit to that style of play, then you have to understand that you're going to give up some points. But I mean, I was in practice last week, and they're doing a lot of discipline-oriented things where if they're not doing it right, they're doing running, they're doing burpees or something. That he is telling them with no degree of uncertainty that they are going to be a top transition defense team. So if you're going to be if you want to play transition offense, and that's what guys all want to play, more guys end up playing. It's more fun. More points are scored. It's more exciting. You can't play that unless you got a commitment, a commitment to transition defense, and that's what they're trying to do right now.
So, give us a little rundown. People may not be familiar with some of the new faces that were going to be on this team.
Well, I'll start with an old face, Trey Mann. Now he's a guy who a lot of people had expectations for last year. I wrote a story on FloridaGators.com this week, kind of introducing just a breakdown of just about every player and what their role could be. Now, having said that, the last couple of years, or there have been times, this time last year, I thought this team was fantastic. Kerry Blackshear Jr. Was an incredible three-point shooter. He was one of the top three-point shooters on the team last year in practice. Trey Mann was the best, not one of the best offensive player on the team last year heading into the season. That's one of the reasons he started the first 4 games before suffering a concussion. Now, everything changes once the season starts because guys start wondering why they're not playing more. You lose a couple games. There's guys looking around, stink eyes and what have you. That happened last year with this team. Okay, so Trey Mann, he had COVID over the summer, comes back in still unbelievable shape. And he is right now the starting point guard. If we're throwing up the ball tonight, he's the starting point guard on this team. Now, people say, well, he had a minus turnover to assist ratio. Yeah, but again, remember the different style of play. It's not going to be necessarily a half-court thing. I think one of the biggest differences with this team, Shane, what you'll notice, it could be like last year, if a guy grabs a rebound, here comes Andrew Nembhard, hand him the ball. Let's go up. Let's walk it up. Let's walk it up. Let's walk it up. What you're going to see this year, there are multiple guys who can grab the rebound and go. And we start a transition kind of offense, whether that's Trey Mann, whether that's Keontae Johnson, who's going to play some 2 this year. Okay. Whether that's Anthony DeRougie, certainly Trey Mann, whether it's Quez Glover, Scotty Lewis. You have an array of guys that they could have done it last year, but that wasn't the system. They're going to have the freedom to do that this year, and that'll be one of the most pronounced differences you'll see in the team.
So the NCAA came out and said all winter sports get another year of eligibility. Now with basketball, it's a little weird because there's so many guys that go one and done. What are your thoughts about that? And I mean, have any of the kids mentioned it or coaches?
No. They're not thinking about this. So most of these guys, if they're any good, come here think they're going to play 1 or 2 years, right?
Right.
End up playing 4. Well, now they have an opportunity to play. If they're a transfer or a red shirt, whether you give them a 6-year. I just don't think it's an important issue right now to talk about. It's something that you talk about later on in the season. I think one of the other rules that may be more impactful, if you would be the one-time transfer rule, where you can transfer one time and be automatically eligible. I mean, if you're a school like Arkansas has like 10 transfers, I think right now. Musselman's getting all kinds. If you're a school like that, maybe your school like Florida has 3 transfers now. DeRougie, Tyree Appleby, who's going to play a lot, didn't mention him. Point guard sat out last year from Cleveland State. 17 points a game at Cleveland State a couple years ago. Colin Castleton, transfer from Michigan, became automatically eligible right away. You mentioned some new guys who would be playing. But that could be a way down the line that teams, if you get an instant transfer, ways teams can maybe rebuild versus recruiting a freshman that you really don't know what you're getting out of.
I don't believe they've come out with any SEC preseason rankings or anything. I think it's still a little early for that. But where would you put the?
I've seen some.
They have. Okay, so where do the Gators rank in the SEC? Because right now my mind is just all football. Where are people looking at this Gator roster and putting them in the SEC?
Well, they're not ranked, which is probably a good thing because it certainly didn't help them last year. But when you start seeing projections for this league, you're seeing Tennessee. You're seeing Auburn, you're seeing Kentucky, obviously, and you're seeing Alabama. I think Arkansas again is a team to watch because of the way they play and because he gets old right away. He gets a lot of transfers in there. That's a difficult way to win, but he seems to have that figured out, having done that in Nevada. But Florida's probably somewhere fourth, fifth, or sixth, depending on who you read. But I mean, the schedule is going to be brutal, and I'm a real big fan of scheduling hard, because it's something that the Gators, and you got to get a commitment from the coach, and Billy Donovan committed to it years ago, and it pays off at the end of the year when they start seeding that tournament. If you're even marginal, if you've played a schedule, if you've gone places to play it, and you've committed to these home and homes and what have you, you're rewarded not just with a berth, but with your seeding when that happens. And like I said, this could be a really, really difficult schedule this year, and I think that's a good thing.
Chris, you're around the basketball team a lot, and I don't think the average person, I mean, COVID has affected everyone in America in different ways, but really, in my opinion, it has really affected college athletes, because they're so structured in their daily routine. They're at college to play their sport. We know they're there to get an education too, but let's be honest, most of them go there to play and move on professionally. What's been the mindset of mainly the basketball team, because their season got cut short there at the end last year? Don't know when you're going to start your season. Just how's it been so far when you've been around these guys?
Some guys made decisions based on this thing pretty quickly. I mean, just calling it like it is. If the season had played out last year, regardless of how it ended, I think Scotty Lewis would have gone into the NBA draft. But he made his decision very soon that he was going to come back. I think Trey Mann went in there and dipped his toe in there and stayed around in there for a while. But there was no hurry to come out, but the uncertainty of the NBA caused some people to decide to come back. Everyone was scattered about. They were doing a lot of Zoom meetings, obviously, and that's going to hurt some guys. I'll name a guy like a guy like Jason Jatobo, who came here 330 pounds and got to 290 last year. Not being around the program, that hurt him. He gained some of his weight back. So when he came back, he was behind. So I don't know what his impact's going to be this season. This may be the developmental year that they thought they were going to get from him coming out of high school. I kind of thought, to be honest with you, Shane, that COVID would have really hurt Trey Mann because of his expectations, not being around the guys, not being able to work so much, not being right there with the coaches every day and doing individual instruction every day. But he's surprised a lot. He surprised everybody with the shape he came back in and what he's looked like right now. So everyone's handled it differently. Obviously, when you get some quarantine stuff has come down that has impacted every sport on campus. So you just got to handle it. And again, we've said this since March 13th, there's no playbook for this. So you just handle it as it goes.
Yeah. So, I know what the football team has to go through just for a daily practice. I mean, it's crazy. The team can't all go in at the same time, get dressed. You have to, it's bizarre. Basketball it's a handful of players, but how has the practices changed with all the COVID stuff?
Well, during individual instructions, they were only allowed to have, there's four guys in the gym at one time. Coaches and managers all had to be masked and wearing gloves. Every guy had their own ball with their name on it. They each have their own chair for practices that they go, and it's like 15, 20 feet from the guy next to them. So it's all, they had a plan for it. The trainer of the basketball program, Duke Werner, he and Stacey Higgins from the other side of campus were in charge of the whole health process and this return to campus kind of things for athletics. And so he's right there for the whole thing. So they had a plan, and right now they got all their bullets for now. So,
yeah.
But of course that's subject to change. Now they have the bubble in football. They're going to have a bubble in basketball, assuming that starts, and daily tests or 3 a week, 4 a week, whatever it's going to be. They just haven't come up with an official plan for that yet, because we don't, the season starts, we think November 25th, right?
Yeah. Do you think with basketball they may, because a lot of people think the Florida issue may have happened traveling to College Station, whether it was in the hotels or whatever. Do you think basketball may look into flying in the day of the game, playing it, and flying back?
My first inclination would be no, but I can't say that for sure, because I so much goes into a game day. you have your shoot around. You gotta have your meals. All that is. I don't think they would whack that out in any way. They would probably do more research in terms of hotels and occupancy and stuff like that. But like I said, the right now the first games are supposed to be at the Mohegan Sun. At least that's the reports that we're hearing. It would be a game against a mid-major, and then the second game against the University of Virginia. The Mohegan Sun's a casino in Huntsville, Connecticut. So however that plays out, however they're going to clear that place out, what the occupancy of that is, I have no idea. I don't even know if fans will be allowed at the game, and we don't even know if we're going to play the game. But that's what we're hearing right now.
And we haven't heard anything from the SEC league office about capacity in the O'Connell Center or Rupp Arena or any of that, right?
Just now announced capacity for volleyball, which starts next season. So they're in no hurry to do anything like that. I think the first SEC game, they're going to space it out a little more than usual. I think the first SEC basketball game will probably be before the first of the year, just so they give themselves some leeway. Because I just don't think they can miss another March Madness this year.
Oh no!
I think they're committed to play basketball this season. And there's going to be issues like there have been in football, and we just hope we can get closer to some normalcy between now and then. Maybe.
Has there been any talk for, like, let's just say all 14 basketball teams in the league to go to Disney and just, because you can do all your online classes there. Has there been any talk about having a bubble for college basketball?
I haven't heard anything like that, and if SEC is going to do that, or is everyone going to do it? Is American going to do it? Is the
right.
Big going to do it? I haven't heard anything like that. That would be fun, I guess. It'd probably be maddening also.
All right, so you're saying after halftime of the first game, we're going to be taking calls about the Gator basketball team needs to start playing some defense. I like it.
You said that. You asked me how long it would take, and I was facetiously saying like that. I just think that it's going to be a different looking team, different style of play looking team, and the fans have been crying for faster, more up tempo. Well, maybe they'll see it this year. If the practices every day are any kind of indication, they will.
Got any good stuff on FloridaGaze.com they can tune into?
Yeah, I would encourage anybody who wants to read about basketball to go look at the preseason primer, which was posted on Wednesday. That'll give them a pretty detailed look of just about everybody everybody on the team, and maybe the kind of expectations they're dealing with and what exactly is going on with each guy.
All right, Chris, appreciate you joining the show, my man. You can follow him on Twitter at GatorsChris. Be safe, my man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Shane. See you.
That's Chris Harry. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. Going to take our last time out. We'll be right back.
This is Shane Matthews. Thank you for listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. You can also check me out on Inside the Huddle with Steve Russell and the head ball coach Steve Spurrier. Tune in every Tuesday during football season on WRUF 98.1 FM, 8:50 a.m. at 10 o'clock in the morning, or find us on your favorite podcast platform.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Area Rug Masters, your number one choice in Gainesville for all your rug cleaning services.
Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parrish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Radware, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to this Friday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. This Day in Sports is brought to you by Area Rug Masters, Gainesville's most trusted area rug cleaners. With free pickup and delivery, Area Rug Masters is the convenient way to keep the focal point of your room looking brand new. Call Area Rug Masters at 352-448-5999. This day in sports, 1968, Americans Tommy Smith and John Carlos famously give the Black Power salute on the podium during the Mexico City Olympics to protest racism and injustice against African Americans. That happened in 1968. It's brought to you by Area Rug Masters. I want to thank JC for joining us on the program, and also FloridaGators.com senior writer Chris Harry talking Gator basketball. Have a great week, folks. Still going to be some good football to watch. Stay safe out there today. Today's show is a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Take care.